All right, Matt Gannon, Matt Gannon's cannons is what people have been saying. You've got the arms out, maybe a gym sesh before or after. I don't know. How are you doing? What are you up to this weekend? How are you feeling about the Canadian Open? What was it was European Open, right, on DP last week, and now we transition to Memorial and LIV Houston. And I just saw it's also the Scandi.
Huge week.
It's the Scandi mixed over on the DP. How are you feeling about everything?
Yeah, we got a lot of fun golf coming up, especially on the PGA Tour, Memorial and US Open, obviously. So Canada, I know you and I may have different feelings on the golf course, may have different feelings on how the tournament panned out, but I thought it was fun, and I think that is just going to be a nice boost to this next 2 weeks we got going. So I think golf's in a good spot. Excited for LIV to come back. Excited for the Scandi mix more than anything. But yeah, it should be a good pod.
And yeah, you just mentioned something that I was going to mention as well. This is a great month of golf. Maybe we'd have to go through month by month to really determine which is the best month of the golf. I think that might be a pod by itself. But in June, we've got obviously the Scandinavian mixed on the DP World Tour, which some say is a major. We got that this week. But in all honesty, we've got Memorial this week, great event. We've got the U.S. Open next week at Pinehurst. We'll have boots on the ground there, of course. Then we've got Travi, our hometown Northeast. Well, my adopted hometown. More of your hometown event here up in the Northeast. I think we've got JDC. Oh, JDC is in July, but we've got Rocket, which is a great event. We've got a couple LIV events. We've got the DP. So, yeah, all in all, a great month of golf. I'm trying to think of, obviously, April's got the Masters. The beginning of the year is always fun because it's just the beginning of the year, but 2 elevated events plus a major, that's a pretty sweet month.
Yeah, and like going Memorial to US Open is really like you can't really beat that. And then Travelers always Electric City no matter what. I think this might be 1-1 in the months of golf.
Yeah, and then you add in to your point about going to the US Open, like we're going to get to see all these guys playing a relatively difficult test this week at Memorial right before the U.S. Open. So I think from a handicapping perspective, too, it's a fun little stretch where we kind of get 3 straight weeks of the guys playing, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that doesn't mean that Scottie's just going to win 3 weeks in a row, because that would be a tough scene. For us, from a betting perspective, it'd be kind of sick from a just greatness perspective. But before we get started, just touching on the great month of golf ahead, as always, like and subscribe. We really appreciate when people do that. It just helps get the pod out there in front of more people. I think we had almost 1,000 people viewing the Canadian Open pod last week, which was pretty cool. Just kind of not obviously a huge event with the Canadian Open, but still getting a lot of people interested in the pod. So if you like the pod, if you think there's other people out there who are like you, who like the pod, just toss a like and subscribe on there. Again, I always say I don't know how the algorithm works, but I know that stuff helps get it out there in front of more people. So we really appreciate that. And then also quickly just wanted to touch on, I know we talk about the different things about the site, the odds pages and things like that. Going forward from basically today onwards, everything's going to be on vincerix.com, just vincerix.com. And we're going to have 2 subscription options. Everything on there is going to be behind the paywall. Obviously, we're doing this podcast every week now. I feel like we give out a lot of good information on the pod. So for those people who don't want to kind of go dive deeper, maybe you don't bet that much, whatever it may be, obviously, I think the pod is great for you. If you do want to dig deeper, go into the site. That's where Matt and I do all of our write-ups. We do 2 long articles each week. We probably write up 75 players in total across both of us, thoughts and things like that. We have our bets on there. We've obviously got the models, and we've got that for both LIV and the PGA Tour. And we have a $34.99 monthly option and a $9.99 weekly option up there on the site. So if you don't, bet every event, maybe you only want to get the boots info next week when we have boots on the ground at Pinehurst, do the weekly for $9.99. So just wanted to, we don't usually talk too much about the site or kind of what we're doing, but going forward, everything's on Vincerix, 2 pricing options, tons of great info. And then obviously we got the pod for those who don't want to dive that deep. Matt, anything else you'd add to that?
Yeah, like on a pure character count, no one in the world is doing more weekly writing and information on each player, each golf course than Adam and I. We are diving deep, and you're going to get information on 95% of the field each week, and then a detailed course preview every single week, plus a lot more DFS thoughts, obviously all of our picks. And then more than anything, you got access to like the Discord, which is not only Adam and I's thoughts. You can bounce questions off anyone in the chat, because as we always say, it's a ball knowers pod, it's a ball knowers group. People in there know their shit. So yeah, it's definitely a good group to be a part of. It's treated us well so far this year, and we're looking forward to keep rolling.
Yeah, great call in the Discord too. Yeah, I think we probably are 10% of the talking that takes place in the Discord. Like it's a lot of other people talking about stuff, which is awesome. That's like the community aspect and learning from other people, I think is one of the coolest pieces of the whole thing. So yeah, if you're interested in that, obviously get over to the site. Now we do have that weekly option as well that is new. So if you just want to test it out for a week, or if again you just want the boots on the ground stuff next week when we are at Pinehurst, that will all be on there. And then we'll also, of course, have the pod as well. So thanks to everybody who currently subscribes. Thanks to everybody who subscribes to the pod. We always really appreciate it, and we just love talking ball with people who love to talk ball. So and I will say, before we'll get to Memorial, obviously after the RBC Canadian Open, I've got one of the subscribers is a member, I think, at Muirfield Village. He's got boots on the ground. I will to a nice text or a nice DM from him with some boots on the ground intel about Muirfield Village. So we'll talk through that. And the other thing I was going to say is, like, when we do the pod, obviously we're doing this Monday pretty early in the day. This is where we're kind of brainstorming, kicking around our thoughts, like guys that we like, guys that we don't like. But that can change during the week. We get new info, and that's the stuff that goes up on the site. So if you listen to the pod, you're like, oh, where did these guys end up? That's the type of information that we do have on the site. So enough of that. Let's talk ball. RBC Canadian Open, generational national open player, Robert McIntyre, Bobby Mack. I tweeted last night a list of his performances now in National Opens jerseys. And let me just read it off to you because it is quite special. Give me just a second here. Bobby Mack in National Open. Canadian Open win, obviously. Italian Open win. Scottish Open second. Just got nipped. He did everything he could to win the Scottish Open. Rory just had a miracle finish to beat him. He did nothing wrong there at the Scottish. I didn't list it actually in this tweet because I don't know if the European Open, technically the EU, maybe they all count as one as a National Open. I didn't include that, but he was also second there. But then third in Cyprus, T6 at Mexico, T6 at the Open, T7 at the Magical Kenya Open, T7 at the Turkish, T8 at the French, T13 at the Irish, T15 at South Africa. I don't think I know what Bobby Mack is good at as a golfer. Like, I can't tell you, like, this is the skill set of Bobby Mack because it's so volatile. Sometimes he spikes putting, sometimes he's good driving, but, like, it's not consistent. He just is, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like an emotional thing. Like, when the vibes are right, Bobby Mack just steps up. And something about the National Opens, his dad was on the bike. So many things going on, but it seems like vibes is where we get the best out of Bobby Mack.
Yeah, and like we talked about it during the week. Like he posted that joke of a stat profile. Like he was just making everything. He was putting everything in. Wasn't hitting the ball well at all. Then Sunday comes around. He posts the 5th best approach round of the day. Like that's dog. If you don't have it during the week and then you find it Sunday when you need it most in the National Open, let's do it. Like Bob Mack has dog for sure. Wins by 1. Just we both love Bob Mack. Like we're happy to see him win. We've been on him earlier in the year. No reason for us to be on him this week. Wasn't too much intel besides the recent form, but he just missed a cut at Colonial. So it just shows how random golf is. But yeah, props to Bob Mack.
I think we said after the PGA, now obviously we didn't heed our own advice here, but we said you don't want Bobby Mack when he becomes popular, which is what happened at Schwab. And then you want him because like we were just saying, it's hard to even know what he's good at. He just kind of is sometimes good at a little bit of everything. It's purely vibe. So he can kind of pop anywhere. I think it was about 90, 100 to 1 last week. I will say somebody messaged me in the Discord before the tournament and said, what do you think about Bobby Mack? And I said, I don't love him for a high finish. I think he'll be middle of the pack, like make the cut, play fine. Obviously, that's not what took place, but I think I don't feel bad about having that opinion about Bobby Mack. Like if you had told me he was going to gain 12 strokes putting, then obviously that'd be a different story. But he gains only a little over 4 tee to green. I definitely, hand up, didn't see it coming, but I don't think many people did.
No, yeah, I mean, you're getting 12 strokes putting. No one's going to predict that. That's like a true, no beef. Like, there was nothing that he did leading up with the ball striking. I was like, yeah, Bob Mack's trending. He's going to hit this ball well. He's going to align it with a hot putter. You're getting 12 strokes putting. Like, it's okay. We're not going to be on that.
I will say one of the mistakes that we did make, and this is me pledging to never make this mistake again. And if listeners listen and we don't do this segment, you need to just send us a DM and we'll re-record the pod. We always do random Euros of the week. It's one of our favorite segments. Last week, we did random Euros of the week, but we didn't actually do the Euros. We did the Canadians because it was their hometown event. We did random Canadians of the week. The only other time that we haven't done random Euro of the week was the Masters. And that's when Nikolai won the Masters. So the 2 times that we haven't done random Euro of the week, the Euros have stepped up and delivered. Obviously, Bobby Mack wins. Big Dick Vic Perez. No man, like, but it was crazy that it was both Bobby Mack and Vic Perez kind of down the stretch because they're 2 guys that on the DP, they're always like 25-1 on the DP. You don't want to bet them because they're going to miss the cut as many times as they're going to get in the mix. But when they do mix, dogs. Dogs. And we saw it from both of them. Like that putt Perez made on 18, so sick. Like,
yeah, I mean,
drips it in, huge fist pump. That's Vic Perez. But it's so rare. But when it does happen, he's got dogs.
Perez going 64 on the weekend is just like so hilarious after this like recent month of horrible golf. But like going into the season, he was the most consistent approach player literally on the entire tour. He was just gaining. Then he took a massive dip. He's like, all right, I'm back. 64. Let's have a great week. I'm sure he'll be popular in his next few starts, which is not when you want to run out Vic Perez, like you don't want to run out Bob Mack, but just Bob Mack, Ben Griffin, Vic Perez, like just beating Tom Kim and Rory McIlroy is just a hilarious leaderboard. Truthfully, hilarious leaderboard.
It is, yeah, one of the funniest leaderboards I think I've ever seen. Especially when you then look down, you see Corey Connors gained almost 8 strokes putting. Like, so, like the number of the things that took place in Canada. We like to talk about the stats. We're numbers. That's our area of expertise. And expertise might be pushing it, but that's what we like to talk about. Some things that just you can't explain took place up in Canada. Bob Mack adds his dad to the bag and wins the tournament.
And that's it. It's a one and done. He's not there next week. He said one and done. He's back to Oban. Also, real quick, how much would you have bet on Corey Connors if I told you he gained 8 strokes putting or 7 strokes putting?
I would have sold everything that I have. I would have called every person that I know and gotten a loan from them. I think I would have bet everything I had because he's been hitting the ball like Scottie. Like I always think of Connors as he obviously will never reach this level unless he miraculously changes his short game. Connors is the closest one who could match Scottie's ball striking on a weekly basis. Like he flushes it every single week, but the short game is just so bad. But yeah, when I saw that stat line from him losing off the tee and then gaining almost 8 putting, but my bets this week at the Canadian Open were some of the worst bets I think I've had of the whole year. But what did come true that we talked about was this was just going to be a pure make as many putts as you possibly can. And like the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys on the leaderboards, all gaining over like 4 to 5 strokes putting. I said that I thought Rory was one of the closest to being a lock, like that a guy had been in a long time at a tournament. He obviously didn't win, and he's got to win to back up that take. I'm going to take I'll give myself a C on that take because Rory probably wins that tournament 2, 3 out of 10 times. Like he made so many dumb mistakes and he was still right there, and he loses by 3 strokes to a guy who gained an outrageous amount.
I'm not even kidding. Like I tweeted this take. I truthfully think that if it was dry heading into the week, because it dried up on the weekend, that he would have played so much better because he went bomb and gouge from Thursday on. And then Thursday, Friday, it was wet. And then the rough was fairly wetter than it was on the weekend. And then he goes like, 64, 65 on the weekend when it's firmer and faster. I really do think he wins if it was just simply wetter. I mean, simply wetter.
His ability. That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that, about the difference in the conditions between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday. Because Thursday he played fine. Friday, his iron play was really off. Like it was some of the worst iron play I've seen from him in a while. But he fixed it on the weekend. But it's because on a lot of those holes, he was just chipping out of the rough from 100 yards. And his ability to gauge those shots out of the rough. Now, obviously, he's hitting wedges, and other guys are hitting 8 irons out of the rough. But like he probably had 6 tap-in birdies. Shout out BK. Purely from just driving it 340 and then wedging it, landing it 10 yards short of the pin and just rolling it up.
Yeah, he was first in driving distance, which like we kind of figured he would take that approach. Well, actually, I questioned like because I knew it was going to be wet. I was like, is he going to lay back? Is it going to be a problem on Thursday and Friday? And on Thursday and Friday, I think he made a total of 4 birdies out of the rough. His other birdies were like from clean lives or on par 3s or on par 5s. The strategy wasn't really working on Thursday and Friday, but then it really ramped up on the weekend. So I agree. If that tournament's run a few more times, I think Rory wins the majority of them.
We did talk about Ben Griffin, but shout out Ben Griffin. We actually did talk about him, I think, briefly on the pod last week. We said if it's going to be spike putting, Ben Griffin's got a chance. We prefer him on Bermuda, but he somehow gained what is that?
First in approach, I think.
Yeah, it's 7.5-ish first in approach. That's rare for Ben Griffin. The problem for me with Griffin is that he does mix like a handful of times firmly mixes, not like T8.
Yeah.
Like he gets right up in near the lead like 3 to 5 times per year, but I don't feel like we ever get like super long odds on him. He's never like 200 to 1. Like he doesn't really sneak up on people, which makes it tough to ever bet him.
Yeah, even the first time he mixed like Bermuda, he was only like a 100 to 1. And but I think we said on the pod, you think you asked me about Griffin, and I was like, is it Bermuda? And it was no. Yeah. So like I like him on these shorter courses generally, but he's truthfully only done it on a Bermuda or resort course. This is the first time he's done it like on a course that's not like that. So
it needs to be short, and it needs to be where driving isn't a huge piece of the puzzle, because he is truly one of the worst drivers. Like he drives it like me, but when the course is short enough, then he can get in play enough and lean on his putting and around the greens and at times his approach. But he's a good player. We got to keep our eyes on him in these weaker field events going forward. We talked Vic Perez. Tom Kim. We were high on Tom Kim last week. We said we liked where Tom's game was heading. And he backed it up. Played quite well. Did pretty much everything good. No category really jumping out. Approach play obviously being the best for him, but kind of bounced across the bag. I will say I watched a reasonable amount of his featured group with Rory, I think on Saturday, maybe a little bit on Sunday, because I was out and about on Sunday. I was at Central Park. The weather's obviously beautiful here in New York, so I was watching the golf in the park, and my stream was only working on ESPN, so I was watching some of the featured groups there. Tom Kim, and we talked about this last week, his driving has been off over the last 6 months or so. He's standing over the ball on the tee for maybe the longest I've ever seen a player. Like I was going to record it and post a tweet.
I've not noticed that.
Maybe a full minute. I don't like Rory said he enjoys playing with Tom and he's friends with Tom, and obviously talked about Tesori's friend of his as well. Rory plays so fast, especially with the driver. He just steps up there and he rips it. Tom was taking a lifetime with the driver. So clearly he's like working through some things with the driver, because he wasn't doing it with the approach play or the putting, and all that stuff comes naturally, I feel like, to him. But he's getting the driver back in play. Didn't drive it too great. I still worry about him. Maybe this week, a place where the driving is a serious test, but nice to see Tom stepping back up, and on short positional courses, Tom does his thing, and he did it this week.
Yeah, I agree. He's starting to feel some things, and I think that approach play derives from the driving play. If he's driving in play, he will have great looks because that's his best skill. So he's driving a little better week by week. He's definitely someone who can make noise, and like he's done it. He's been in the mix, or at least around the leaderboard on courses that don't make sense for him, meaning like a course like Memorial. I could just see it when, this isn't a Tom Kim track. Like he was there at Valhalla. So, I'm not saying I'm predicting Tom Kim to be in the mix, but just keep an eye out for him.
Dog. Tom's got dog. I mean, he's got 3 PGA Tour wins. He always looks comfortable when he gets in the mix. He like I watched a reasonable amount of him yesterday. He looks like he wants it when he gets in the mix. He's not just in the mix for the heck of being in the mix. He's playing to win. So I like Tom. Always have. Discovered him at Wyndham, invented him there. So nice to see Tom getting his game back. We'll see how he performs heading into his best time of year is July and August. Scottie only wins tournaments in April, but July, August, September, that's when we have to be on the lookout for Tom Kim, especially when we head over to the Scottish Open. Tom Fox in the UK. Everyone knows it. We talked to Connors. Matt McNeely finishing T7 with the worst outright odds I've ever seen on a player is classic. Like now he's going to be able to keep those outright odds going forward. He's not going to drift, even though he had, I didn't even know he was playing until he popped up in the little corner leaderboard briefly. I think on Sunday, Mav was up there. Mac Hughes, we did not speak highly of Mac Hughes on the pod, not necessarily because we thought he would play bad, just because we thought his odds were kind of ridiculous versus the other Canadians. He gained an outrageous
Vintage
amount
Mac Hughes
also.
strokes gained performance, just like that's Mac Hughes.
I saw he did. I didn't see it live, but something went wrong for him on 9. I think.
I heard he hit it, and then he had the pretty egregious free drop after that.
Okay.
Classic PGA Tour.
Fox. We need to talk about Fox briefly.
Yeah.
My guy. We've battled together on the DP many times, and this is a course that made sense for Fox. I think, anytime it's shorter, there's trees, positional-ish. It doesn't sound like a Fox course because he's kind of a bomber, hit it wherever, but for whatever reason, he steps up and plays these courses well. Obviously, he won the BMW at Wentworth, similar style of course last year in the fall. We're kind of like Bobby Mack, kind of like all the DP guys, honestly. You don't really know what they're good at. They can just spike at everything at any given point. I didn't see much of him over the weekend. I know that he had built somewhat of a lead on Saturday, and it kind of quickly evaporated, classic Fox style. But I just needed to say it's an absolute joy to see Fox finally getting it going on the PGA Tour. I think we both would agree that we knew it was coming. He's a really good player who was not dominant, but always in the mix on the DP World Tour. I think there's more to come from him, and it was awesome. He plays so fast. Like, we've talked about this all the time. Like,
insanely fast.
The fastest player ever. They were talking about on the broadcast repeated. Like, it was they just weren't used to it. It was blowing the mind of the announcers. Of
the camera couldn't even catch up to him because he was like already in his backswing by the time they were panning over to him. And just him, he was 4 under through 5 on Saturday. I think his biggest lead was 4 or 5 shots. And like, we know Fox, we know he's a generational. He finds a way to lose. And I thought he was going to have a 2 or 3 shot lead going into the weekend because it was that big and he looked awesome. Immediately, like, shot even par, made 4 straight bogeys or something like that. And then because I would have loved him to have a 2-shot lead going into Sunday and watch what he did in the back 9 because it would have been electric because that's what Fox does. But yeah, just Fox. I didn't think he was going to win even when he had the lead, but there will be a week where the stars just align. Not necessarily he plays great over the weekend, but just the pieces behind him fall correctly where he can figure it out. Maybe not this year, but he's just such a talented guy and he's won before. So good to see him playing good golf again.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable summary on our boy. He only scrambled. Every guy who finished above him on the leaderboard got it up and down at least 67% of the time. He only got it up and down 48% of the time. So that was he lost almost 4 strokes around the greens. Wow. He's very volatile around the greens, just like he is across this game. Like, sometimes he gets it up and down a lot. Sometimes he doesn't. I don't like how fast he plays around the greens. Like, I'm cool with you playing fast with your ball striking because, like, that's just driving range. Like, if you've got your swing down, just pick a target and go hit it. In the contention, that's what's cost him before on the DP. It's like you get playing so fast around the greens in these conditions with these pins, like, that's not going to work. So I don't think he'll ever change his game. But Ryan, if you're listening, let's slow down around the greens just a little bit. Would love to see him getting back into the mix. And he's going to be playing in some of these weaker field events going forward. We will have our eyes on that for sure. The one guy that I think we got right, he played well as a long shot, Chandler Phillips, the guy can make birdies in bunches. Good player. I think we were both on him. That was probably my best bet. Like I said, my bets were terrible this week, but Chandy was my one glimmer of light.
Yeah, he's good at 2 things: approach and putting. And I do my weekend show for a different company every single week, and he was 40-1 top 10 on Saturday night going into round 4. He was 40-1 for a top 10. And I was like, I think his stat profile looks really good. I think you guys sprinkle this. And so if anyone did that, give me a shout because that was awesome. I don't know that number was just simply off. So shout out Chandler Phillips, good at 2 things, and he did him well again.
A couple more guys, and then we'll get on to Memorial here and LIV. Burns, I hold on to my Burns Whisperer card. It was touch and go there for a second. He was in the mix. He did not win. And as I always say with the Burns Whisperer, it's not will he play well. Like I think I said he probably play okay last week, and he did. It's will he win. I did get a little nervous there for a second, but that lives on. The guy I quickly wanted to mention, it might feel a little bit like a low blow, but I think we need to discuss it. Tommy Fleetwood.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bob
I didn't even realize until after the round. I didn't even see what he shot until after the round.
Because Bob Mack comes over from the DP It wins within like his first 50 or so starts on the PGA Tour. A guy like Pavone comes over from the DP earlier this year and wins on the PGA Tour. Tommy Fleetwood has been on the PGA Tour forever. He never wins. He's never won once. Though it's clearly not like, oh, you can't come over from the DP World Tour and win, because we're seeing it. And I watched Tommy kind of closely on Thursday and Friday this week. I had some time to watch the featured groups. And I think I figured out why Tommy never wins. Besides the fact that he has no dog. Because Tommy is never in the lead, right? Like he's always coming from behind over the weekend. Like every now and then he gets off to a quick start, but it's almost always coming from behind. He plays too conservatively. Like I was just like Thursday, Friday, I was watching him. He's in the fairway. He's obviously in the fairway all the time. He's never attacking pins, ever. He's always playing so safe. And that's how you end up with a guy who finishes top 10 all of the time and never wins. So that's after studying Tommy this week,
great take.
I'm convinced that he's just not playing aggressive enough to win tournaments.
And that's why he's so good in the hardest of golf courses, because that's his game. Like he's okay, yeah, I'm going to hit this fairway. I'm going to hit it to 50 feet. And that's his game. I agree. And I talked about on Saturday night. I was like, I think one of this Burns Fleetwood pairing, because they were paired together on Sunday, will make a charge. Burns got off to a hot start, whatever, like 2 under through 5. Fine. Then I was like, I just forgot about Fleetwood because I wasn't actively watching the golf. And after I just scrolled the leaderboard, like Tommy shot 2 over when he has a chance to win the golf on Sunday in a shit field. And he's played great in Canada. You cannot just shoot over par. You just can't do that.
And here's
16-1.
Yeah, what was his stats in the final round?
Oh, also 16-1 Fleetwood and 25-1 Noren, jail time. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Did Noren make the cut?
He did, but I don't know what he finished.
Vinny Norm's made the cut too. So our guy, he didn't win, but Vinny Norm's making a cut right now.
No, Noren did not make the cut, actually. He didn't. Sorry, he did not make the cut.
Damn. What I was going to tie back together there on Tommy was he shot 2 over in the final round. I think also because he is never aggressive, like that's not his game, that when he gets in these final rounds where if you want to win the tournament, you're going to need to hit it at the pin. Like that was the thing I was watching Rory yesterday. Rory didn't give a shit. He was aiming at the pin on every single hole. He was like, I need to shoot 8 under today to win. Who cares what happens? I'm aiming at the pin every single time and we'll see what happens. I would assume that if you don't play aggressive, you're playing conservative all the time and then you need to play aggressive, it's not going to work because you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite of Victor Hovland. Hovland plays aggressive every single shot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but he can shoot 8 under in the final round, come out of nowhere and win a tournament. Tommy's never done that. So I needed to talk about Tommy because I was frustrated. I didn't want him to win. I didn't bet him. I had no interest in Tommy this week, but I was getting upset watching him play Thursday, Friday, because he was playing. I can't remember who he was with, but it was just like every shot was 40 feet. And it wasn't they were bad shots. I was looking how he was aligned, and he just wasn't aiming at the pin, not playing aggressive. So I don't like that. All right. That's the RBC Canadian Open. Shout out Bobby Mack. I love Bobby Mack. He seems just a dude that you would just hang out with and vibe. Not like a pretentious. A lot of golfers, a little pretentious, a little stuck up. Bobby Mack, absolute just dude. So great to see him win. Like we said, we were nowhere near predicting it, but we also say all the time, we'd love to pick the winner. We love to predict it. But at the end of the day, we love golf. And if you start to let your bets take away from your enjoyment of cool golf stories, that to me would be the day that I'm going to stop betting. So even though I had nobody in the mix, I was excited about the final round. Shout out to Bobby Mack. That takes us to Memorial, Muirfield Village, one of the premier events, I would say, of the basic PGA Tour schedule, up there with events like Bay Hill. Bay Hill also the top comp this week, both crossovers and winners. So shout out to Bay Hill from a comp perspective, but also from being another one of the kind of premier events. Obviously, that's Arnie's event. This is Jack's event. Jers, give me the profile of player that you will be on the hunt for this week. And you can't say Scottie Scheffler is the profile you're on the hunt for this week, even though I think we'll be talking about him a fair amount shortly. Style of player and just general like course keys for Muirfield Village.
Yeah, what makes Muirfield Village the hardest course on tour is that every time it's Muirfield week, you have to look up how to spell it because I have no idea how to spell it. I have to, no matter how many times I do it, it's insane.
I will say it to me maybe second or third because Waialae. Waialae lives. I spend most of the year like mentally preparing for Waialae, but I do agree with you that Muirfield Village, that you and I, it's a tricky combination.
Yeah, so I mean, outside of that, because that's the main reason on what gets in these players' heads, is it's just like Bay Hill, one of the pure ball striking tee to green, and that's it. Just like look, this is where the green comes in play. This is where the green gets rewarded on the apps
Yeah,
that you guys look at. This is where you want your guys like your Xanders, your guys that are just like, okay, green off the tee, green on approach. That is going to play here. So look for the purest of pure ball strikers, just like I do at Bay Hill, just like we do at Bay Hill, and just a tough, stern test tee to green.
Yeah, I totally agree. The last 6 years up on the site, we've got the kind of winner in tournament strokes gained figures. 2022, 2021, 2020. The leader in the field, tee to green, was the winner of the tournament. The year before that, 2019, Cantlay was second. Last year, Hovland was 12th.
What happened in 2023 with the leader tee to green?
Yeah, that's where I was getting Jers. That was Scottie Scheffler. He gained, how many did he gain? The joke behind this is that I single bulleted Scottie last year. I think he was like plus 675 or something. Felt like a great bet. He gained 21 strokes tee to green, Jers.
Not enough.
Wasn't enough because he lost almost 9 putting, but he only lost by 1 shot. So effectively, it's been 4 straight years of the tee to green leader winning this tournament. It took a truly mind-boggling putting performance for Scottie not to make it 4 consecutive tee to green winners here.
Yeah, that was a all-time day. Adam and I were sweating that on the bay. Shout out Middle Bay Golf Club on Long Island. And yeah, Scottie was a little bit back in the tournament, started striping everything, started rolling a few putts, still was losing infinity on the putting surface. And then he fell 1 short. And then in the end, he posted one of the generational ball striking weeks, tee to green weeks, while losing strokes on the green. Just like that. Last year Memorial just encompasses Scottie Scheffler as a whole in golfer. That is the profile that will go on his tombstone.
I also think, and I will say, like some of the boots on the ground reporting that I am getting from Muirfield is telling me the course is going to be a little softer, maybe a little more gettable than it was last year, possibly closer to double 11 to 13 under par, potentially winning score versus the 7, because last year it got extraordinarily firm, and that's why a guy like Denny could get in the mix, because making infinity putts was a path to the top of the leaderboard when it usually isn't in Muirfield. So it may play a little bit easier this year. Not going to be easy, obviously, but maybe a little bit. But what I think is insane about Scottie's performance last year, and what is interesting about Muirfield in general, is Scottie gained no strokes on the field in rounds 1 and 2. He was dead flat, 0 strokes gained. He was like, he barely made the cut, if I remember properly. Like, he was just inside the cut line. Gained a reasonable amount on Saturday to kind of sneak back into the picture. He gained 8 strokes total in the final round, losing a stroke and a half putting. He gained 9.5 tee to green in 1 round. It might be the greatest round of golf ever played. Like 9.5 strokes tee to green in 1 round. How's that even possible?
That is insane. I think I chipped in 1 time. He almost chipped in on 17 or 18, I believe, to like actually tie the lead. I remember we were watching it on your
8.3 ball striking. He gained 2.6 off the tee and 5.7 on approach.
That's insane.
I would watch a 30 for 30 just on that round. Just on that final round. I mean,
that, and then Cameron Tringrelli's round 1 at the Scottish Open, the 2 greatest rounds of golf.
Yeah, I would pay good money for a little 2-part documentary series, a limited series on Netflix about those 2 rounds, because both were special in there. Both were artists in their own ways in those performances. But yeah, so my thing about Muirfield is it all starts off the tee. I think you see these guys who put up spike approach numbers, you see these guys who put up spike putting numbers here, but it all starts from the tee. If you're not in play off the tee, you're done. You're toast, because the rough is such a penalty at Muirfield Village. The greens get firm. You're not going to be able to hit the greens if you're playing out of the rough. They've got the fairway bunkers that are actually penalties. That was true of RBC last week too, where if you hit it in the bunkers, you might not be able to hit it on the green. And that's how it should be.
Valhalla could never.
The exact opposite of Valhalla, where the fairway bunkers were actually better than hitting it into the rough sometimes. But everybody who comes and wins this tournament is a good driver. They came into the tournament driving well. I wrote the write-up's going up on the site soon, but the L50 driving numbers of the winners here is just like so consistent. What I think is interesting though from there is, yes, has the winner been the tee to green guy most often? Sure. But the category that the winner spikes in, like their number one category for the week, over the last 6 winners, 2 of them have been putting, 2 of them have been around the greens, and 2 of them have been approach. So like,
there's multiple paths.
Yeah, get in play off the tee, and then from there, just be a good golfer. You have all the green on your data golf profile, as like you were just describing it. Like there are multiple paths to victory, but you just got to get in play off of the tee. But you don't have to be a bomber. Horschel is not a bomber, but he's an accurate driver. So like you can gain in either way here. You just need to put the ball in play off the tee consistently. And from there, I'm kind of open to a variety of different playing styles. Now, obviously, Scottie's going to be really tough to beat when we just listed off the tee to green numbers and the fact that he played the greatest round of golf ever played here last year, and he's won basically every tournament he's played this year. But outside of that, I think it's a type of course where different profiles of play outside of driving can get into the mix.
Yeah, no, I agree. Driving is definitely, total driving is key. You want to be long, want to be straight. If you're short and in the rough, just don't even show up. Why even bother? So yeah, I definitely agree with everything you're saying about those profiles.
And yeah, I do think it's a course where we need to keep eyes on the course conditions. Obviously, we'll be talking about that on the site and in the Discord with our buddy who's got some boots on the ground. But if it does play a little bit easier, I'm just looking back at the history of winners here. Yeah, I mean, last year was a -7 winner. 2020 was a -9 winner. That was another year where the course got super firm. That was that COVID year where I think they were redesigning the course afterwards. They're going to be like tearing some things up. The 2 years in between those were -13 winners. I think we're probably better off looking at those 2022 and 2021 like stat profiles than we are the 2023 and 2020. And in those years, it was a little bit more around the greens than putting. I think when the conditions get so firm, you literally can't chip the ball close. At Muirfield, we saw that last year where like Vic's a terrible around the greens player, but if no one can chip the ball within 20 feet, it doesn't matter. This week, I think you will be able to use your short game to your advantage, which again, unfortunately, want to know who's really good at their short game, Jers? Who's Scottie Scheffler?
Oh, okay.
I was thinking out loud and the pain that Scottie could deliver to all of us here this week. But let's get to the odds. I'm going to use Bet365 for the odds here. That's what we've got up right now. Scottie's 375. Jers, any thoughts? Any opinions? Anything to say about Scottie?
He almost won in his last start with his C game. If he's got a week to prep, I wonder what's going on in the mind of Scottie Scheffler. That is the only thing that I could say would be a detriment. Obviously, the legal stuff. Who knows? Like, it should be done now, but still, the new child. That is the only detriment I could say would be Scottie not winning this tournament or not showing up. Is the mind. That is all. So no bad things to say about Scottie outside of that.
I think the problem for the field with Scottie is that, and we've talked about this, the events that he becomes extraordinarily formidable, the ones that he's winning by 3 to 5 shots where it's kind of obvious he's going to win even by Sunday, is when you need to drive it long and straight. And that's what you need to do here. I think Bay Hill's one of the best comps this week. I wrote up on the site, or it'll be up there shortly, that like 3 of the last 6 winners had a high finish at Bay Hill in the year that they won. It just all comes up, Scottie, when you think about this type of tournament. Like when he's won this year, the 4 wins that he has, he's gained over 6 strokes off the tee in all 4 of those victories. If he's anywhere versus like PGA and Charles Schwab, he gained a little under 4. Now that's a small difference, but when he's finishing either second or winning by 3, like that margin is the difference, because he's been pretty flat, consistent with the putter of late. So it's really like, how much can he really gain in those areas of excellence that he has? I just feel like this is a course where he can gain 6 off the tee kind of in his sleep.
Yeah, I mean, well, just like right back to what you said, Valhalla and Colonial, like those aren't courses where he can gain that much off the tee because there's so many forced layups and stuff like that. So here he can surely gain whatever he wants off the tee. And I like the Bay Hill comp. Yeah, it's clockwork for Scottie. It makes a ton of sense. I'm not betting a 4-1, so
If I would say, oh yeah, we're not going to bet 4-1. Like I talked about betting 4-1 Rory on the pod last week. I couldn't even get there because it's just against everything that we stand for in the game of sustainable ROI, the 7 to 8x. So we never bet it. But if you did want to bet Scottie, parlay this week, next week.
Oh, true.
Because we love him at Pine. If he wins this, it's setting up for kind of his stretch where I guess it's a little bit different, but he wins back to back. He's already won back to back twice this year. So if you want to be exposed to Scottie, I kind of love it.
Yeah, what would that be? Probably like 25-1, something around that. And they're getting a great test this week. Like the PGA Tour guys, the LIV guys are not getting a good test this week. So he's got that.
We'll get to the LIV guys, but yeah, that's a different challenge that they'll be taking on there in Houston. But yeah, so if you like Scottie, I like parlay on Scottie. The next tier guys we've got now, we can't shit on him as much. He's got dog now. Xander Schauffele 7-1, Rory's 8-1. Head to head between Xander and Rory this week. Where are you going?
Xander for sure. Going with Xander. Consistency. He's got that. The floodgates are open for Xander. Xander is my DFS player at the top for sure. Just because I can see the mind of Scottie holding him back, at least early on. That's all I need for Xander to just maybe beat him by one stroke. Whether that be a win, whether that be a T3, I think Xander's confidence is there. I think Xander will continue to play excellent golf. I believe he doesn't have the greatest course history around here. Yeah, but he didn't have the greatest course history at PGA either, though. So I'm down.
I've bet him at the Memorial many times. Like it just seems like a Xander course, and his ball striking here is always great. Excuse me. The issue's been on and around the greens. Now he's been better in those areas. Yeah, he's finished T14, T13, T11, T18, T24. He's just consistent, but hasn't quite popped here. Let me look at Rory. Let's see. Rory's not dry
results.
Yeah, he's got a lot of top 10s. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 10s in like 12-ish starts. I'm going to take Rory in the Xander Rory head-to-head. Not by a lot. I just think like Rory right now, he's still like Xander's year is made. Now, does he obviously want to like build on it and continue to have a great season? For sure. Rory's year is still not made. I think winning an event he hasn't won before like this would be a nice feather in his cap. I'm sure he wants to win Jack's event.
He already did that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the new Dubai Desert Class. Oh, actually, no, it's the same. I was thinking of the Dubai Invitational where he came up T2 to Tommy. But give me Rory in a slight lean there. But I don't like. I mean, are you considering? Do you think Xander can win back to back?
No. Yeah. No. Yeah, he's won back-to-back before, but I'm not going to bet it. Like I never bet back-to-back. Just think of numbers. Don't think that's a good play. But yeah, he's won back-to-back before. His last wins were back-to-back.
Yeah. So. And he won that. There was that like that rich guy in Ireland hosted event at Adore Manor. He won that. So technically he won 3 in a row. So that.
The JP McManus.
The JP McManus. Yep. So in general, like the model's up on the site this week. The top 4 guys in the model kind of just blow everybody else out of the water. Scottie, Xander, Rory, and then it's Ludvig is next. Ludvig, Collin, and Vic are in the 14 to 18-1 range. Collin's actually kind of clearly ahead of them in the odds right now, which is a little surprising to me. Now he has been playing great, but I think when it comes to likelihood of winning the tournament, I'm not sure that his odds are totally fair this week. But in those guys, Collin, Ludvig, Vic, who's your favorite and maybe least favorite out of those 3?
Lud, Vic, Collin. I would go with that. That's my 3. What about you?
So I've decided, I don't know if this is a serious thing that I'm going to do or not, because it would fall in the category of something that you would do. So actually I need your opinion on it, because this is in your
bet him every week till he wins.
Style. Right. Because every time I bet Lud, he sucks. Every time I don't bet Lud, he mixes. I really want to experience one time mixing with Lud. I feel like if I just bet him every single week, 1 out of every like 3 weeks, he's going to play well. This is a course where you need to drive it well. Should I bet Lud every week until the Open?
Yeah, I do think you should. I mean, I don't know. What are his odds? 16 to 18. I was doing
Yeah,
it with Cantlay, and he was like 18 to 30.
but I think we might get a better number. Hopefully we get a better number as the week goes on Ludvig. I probably
I
won't bet.
think I think Collin's gonna be the clear cut guy. This is the first clear hammer spot for Victor of the season, but I don't think it's gonna. I'm not saying I don't think it's gonna work out. But and then that leaves Lud off of a miscut. First time here. This is his first time here, right? He didn't play as a college guy. So
Yep.
yeah, then like this is Lud's probably not going to win a major this year, but can this be his breakthrough big win? Sure. And
Yeah.
I bet Lud once it was Torrey Pines, and he kind of mixed.
So
I
I
think
bet
I'm
him
down
at
here.
Bay Hill, which is what we're talking about as the best comp this week. He didn't play very good. His T25, his approach play was really off. He didn't approach it well at the PGA. I probably won't bet him. So if, that means that if you're listening, you should probably bet Ludvig because he'll finish top 10 as a guarantee if I'm not on him. But
He's undersea for me, for sure. He's undersea.
I would say my favorite of these guys, if I was just purely saying who I think is going to finish the highest, maybe I'd go with Collin just because he is playing so consistently right now. He's obviously played well here multiple times. I love Collin at this venue. I kind of like Vic. He played with so much confidence at the PGA. He's obviously building up. He's had another few weeks with Mayo to get queued up for whatever. I mean, he had worked with him for 3 days, and we saw throughout the tournament how he was progressively getting better almost every single day with his confidence. I was surprised. I mean, yes, was he 40 to 1 or whatever at the PGA 56? Like he had been drifting a ton. I think 18 to 1 is kind of the same price that he was last year.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but I thought Vic would have the rubber band would have snapped his odds back down into like the 10 to 12 to 1 range, and it didn't quite do that, at least so far.
Yeah, he posted the best ball striking week since last year's event when he won. So it's just the first time that it really makes sense for Hovland kind of coming around to form. I'm gonna wait and see a little bit. It was just one really good week, and we've seen a ton of really good weeks from Vic before, and he's not like a generational winner. He doesn't win all the time, but he's still young. Like he could surely go on a run of wins. I'm just gonna wait a little bit, but I think this range I'm gonna go with Lud. Haven't gotten there obviously yet, but he's my pick for now.
Yeah, I like that. The 20s, we've got Cantlay and JT, two guys who haven't done much this year. We need to talk about Pat for a second.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about Pat.
So I get a notification in the Discord a couple days ago. It's like sometimes people post like breaking news in the Discord, and I feel like sometimes I've already seen it on Twitter or whatever. I had not seen this. That Cantlay is committed to the John Deere Classic Jers. He's obviously been struggling this year.
Alarms.
And then his boy, Xander, his best boy, wins a major. He's also dealing with like he's the face of the tour in the negotiations. We've seen the impact that's had on guys like Rory's talked about how that like fucked him up and how he's played so much better since he stopped doing that. There's a lot going on. Now, yes, Pat's signing himself up for those things. I get it. Like, and there's a lot of people who don't like him and the things that he does. But I'm concerned about our guy, Jers. There's a lot of weird things going on. We toss in the Xander victory. You're a guy who bets him all the time. I got bad feelings about what's going on with our guy.
Yeah, this is a major litmus test for Pat because this course he plays well no matter what. We got to see. We just got to see because we thought he'd really play well at Valhalla the way the course set up in comp course wise, and he didn't. So I don't see it just turning on here. I mean, it has turned on here before out of nowhere. Suits his eye, but the ball striking has been all over. I could see him having one really nice round to get off to a hot start, but I'm not buying Pat over 72 holes in his current form.
And that's what we've talked about. He's been playing a good round here and there. He could, if you like him, I'd play him first round leader. That's where he's been the most effective this year. It's just like getting off to hot starts. Right? Yeah. His issue for me is that he just hasn't been hitting the fairways. Last year when he was really driving it really well, he was just generational driving. It hasn't been there this year. That's affecting his iron play. Like when he gets it going from the tee, he's in the fairway. He gets that Pat rhythm going where he's 6 under and it looks like he's just playing the game in robot mode. If he can't get the ball and play off the tee, he can't get robot mode going. He doesn't really have a lot of dog when he's not in rhythm. Like Pat's not a guy you want when he's missing fairways and scrambling because he's not going to give a shit. That's not his game. So, he's played great here before. I don't know. I think it would be really tough for me to get there. JT, tee to green. We're looking for a guy who can lead the field tee to green.
Yeah, I love JT. This is his. He posted his best ball striking week since February of 2023 at Valhalla. And this is a course where you don't have to make 20 10-foot putts. There's multiple paths. You can do it with the approach. You can do it with the around the green play. Yeah, I definitely like JT, especially if it's a little softer. I mean, I'm down. I'm definitely down.
Hasn't played great here before.
Yeah.
He did that year where they had the work day when Collin won. He was in the playoff with Collin that year. But yeah, if we're talking about the winner of this tournament tends to lead the field tee to green. Want to know who led the field tee to green in the last tournament where all the big players played? Justin Thomas at Valhalla led the field tee to green, better than Xander, better than Collin, better than Vic, better than Scottie. So yeah, I don't hate it. I mean,
What are his odds? 25?
25 on 365. DraftKings has him at 25. Yeah, so 25. I assume that will probably move. I think it's going to be pretty obvious to people that he's leading the field tee to green at the PGA. And it's a tee to green course, but 25. I mean, we've talked through guys up to this point. I could start my card with JT at 25.
Yeah, this is like one of the first weeks I'm like, well, I've been on him a few times, but I think consensus, like JT, like, okay, I give out JT.
All right, let's fire through some three balls. Just give me your favorite. These are all guys around 35 to 1. Deki, Tommy, Theegs.
Theegs for sure. I'm going with Theegs.
Theegs is a guy that you play after he misses the cut. I was on him
100%.
last week. Terrible bet, terrible call. One of my worst bets of the year. I didn't want to bet it. I wrote up as I bet it. This is a terrible number on Theegs. I hate it. It's a little. The number's still not good this week. I don't think 35 to 1 is by any means a good number on Theegs, but I do think from upside of these three guys, Hideki's an interesting one because Hideki's played well here before, and Hideki hasn't been playing too great in the last couple of weeks.
No, we have to Vic lap that PGA Championship call. Like, he was not great. He didn't hit the ball well either because he wasn't practicing.
But yeah, I think. And then Tommy, we know what Tommy is. He'll probably finish T8 and never truly be in the mix. I've got four guys for you at 40 to 1. An interesting group of guys. Spieth, who has turned into a generational driver but can't hit any of his other clubs. Wyndy, who has gone off the deep end with his approach play. Ben On, who the model really likes this week and is the type of player you'd think could have some success here. And then Max Homa, who I'm worried about has got the driver issues that once derailed his career. Homa's struggling badly off of the tee all of a sudden. This is an interesting group of four guys. It's a tough group because they all have issues. I don't know if I would like any of them outright, but what are your thoughts about these four guys?
Numbers wise, Max Homa is a great call, but it's like a guy who has dog, guy who wins 40 to 1 on Max Homa. We'd be upset if we didn't bet that after the weekends and he wins. But Ben On 40 to 1 is like a crazy number. But he's one of the few golfers he's having a top 5 ball striking / tee to green season on tour this season. This is the spot where he can get rewarded. Now he has to beat a ton of good golfers. And do I trust Ben On to beat those golfers? No. And at 40 to 1, that'd be crazy to bet. So I'm gonna probably go with Max Homa 1, and then it was, you said, Wyndy, and then who was?
Jordan.
Jordan has a good result here, but I do not trust him over a 3-foot putt. I really do not. I would probably Max and Wyndy. Just they win. They have dog. I'm a Wyndy hater too, but I think this is a spot that he could light up, especially if the driver's on.
Yeah. So on a couple of these guys, On was T2 here in 2018. So like it makes sense for him. I agree though that the odds are just so bad. If Ben On wins at 40, it wins Memorial at 40 to 1. I can live with that. My issue with Max, like I said, is off the tee. Last year, towards the end of the year, over an L25 like round range, he was gaining almost a stroke off of the tee. Currently, L25, he's negative off of the tee. Like he's really struggling off of the tee. And when Max played really bad for stretches in his career, it's the off the tee that sometimes just like goes away for something. So it's a concern for me. Enough of a concern where like I couldn't get there betting him this week. I'll just go with Wyndy just purely off of dog and number. He's still driving it really well. We said Bay Hill's a comp. He obviously played well there. We saw him at the PGA going through some sort of weird issue with the iron. But my issue with him though is that ever since he injured his back before Houston, remember he was like, my back is injured. his iron play has just been off ever since then. So I have concerns about him too, but I think I'd go with Wyndy just because these are the type of conditions where I could see him popping, and it's a signature event. He's up to 40-1 now. Like, I feel like he was down into the 20s for a while there, and now he's back up into the 40s. So 40
I will say about Max, if he was in any form, he'd be 22-1. And he's got back-to-back top sixes here. Could be like a situation like a Pat always plays well here no matter the form. Something to monitor. I just think it's a great number. I can see myself getting there.
All right.
It is early.
That's fair.
Because this course is so like repeatable, like Rahm, Cantlay, they always play well here. Collin always play well here. Maybe Max will be the next guy.
Yeah, T6, T5. We might have to have a side wager on Max, like a finishing position. We'll discuss. We'll discuss because I'm concerned about Max. In the 50s, we've got Burns, Henley, Connors, Siwoo, Tony, Keegan, Tom Kim. Any of those names?
Where the hell is Will Zalatoris in the odds board?
Almost 70-1.
It's on the card. So Burns, Siwoo, Henley, Tom Kim, Tony,
Connors, and Keegan. Yep. Okay,
Tony is a lock for +4 ball striking. That's it. And then he's not winning though. Burns gained over 7 ball striking in Canada. Definitely a good sign. But if you're betting Burns on big boy golf courses, you're a loser over time. I'm not calling you a loser. I'm just calling you're losing money. He doesn't do it. Connors will finish T12 probably. Russ Henley fits that Collin build where he's going to hit fairways and hope if it's soft can stick to those long irons, but he has a difficult path. Tough range, honestly. I don't really love any of these guys. Keegan is figuring it out. He really is. Keegan, I don't know.
I think I'll go with Tony. Tony is like, again, it's tee to green. That's what we're looking for this week. Tony has been doing it most of the year. He's played well here before. He always gains tee to green at this course. He's gained on the greens in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7. Obviously, we like Tony on bent on these types of surfaces. We saw it at Valhalla. He was losing infinity putting for most of the year. He's now just flat putting. He's just losing a tiny bit. So I kind of like Tony. He was somebody who jumped out to me last night as I was kind of looking through the field of like it's 655, 60-1 on Tony.
He's in that top 5 list of, like I'm saying with Ben On, like a top 5 tee to green season. Tony Finau is in that list.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he can win, but I don't.
He's probably my favorite in that range too. No, I agree.
Day, Lowry, Denny. You already said you're betting Zal. Harmon, Hoagie, Straka. Those are the 60s. Those are some surprisingly low numbers on some of those guys. Like Denny McCarthy, 66-1, just because he played good last year in a miracle putting performance. We've got Harmon. The course doesn't make sense for him. Hoagie, maybe. Straka. I'd have a hard time betting any of these guys besides Zal. And I'm not betting Zal, but he's your guy.
Straka striping the ball. He definitely can break through in a big spot. I'm not saying kind of like Ludvig. I don't think Sepp or Ludvig will win a major this year, or I don't think Sepp will probably win a major ever, maybe, but he could definitely win a big event. This is a great spot to pay off that really good ball striking. Zal, I think I'm going to go bet at 70-1. Just like I'm not even going to call Valhalla like a difficult test. Like it's 1 at 20 under. His last few difficult tests, Bay Hill, Riviera, and there was one more that I'm missing in that stretch. It's all top 10s, and those are his last 3 difficult courses. We get to 1. That's like you play Zal on hard tests. That's as simple as that. And he is irons well, I believe. Driver is hit or miss, but 70-1. It's not like Zal's in perfect form. If he was in perfect form, he'd be 30-1. He's hit.
Yeah, I'll give you the number. Like at 70-1, I can't say anything about betting Zal, but I statistically looking at his profile, I do not like it. But I agree that purely from 70-1, it's Zal. It's a tough test. Like I'm down for that. Before we forget, random Euro of the week. Tommy Dietz, what are we thinking on random Euro of the week this week?
Back-to-back random Euro of the week. Tommy Dietz, middle of the country, because of where he went in college. I don't know. I don't think he can gain enough with his irons. I think I wrote that again. Jaeger, man, what are we doing with Jaeger's not playing well? He hasn't his irons well in forever, but this course makes sense.
Let me go look at Stevie. He his only appearance last year was T24. He lost off the tee. It's what I think with Yags is we almost need to stop looking at his stats and think about scoring conditions. This is his scoring conditions. Minus 12-ish is when you play Yags. The scoring got too low at the PGA. The scoring was low at Wells Fargo to win. Byron was low. RBC was low. The last time the scoring was in this range was Houston when he won, and he hadn't been playing good before Houston either.
Right.
I think Stevie Yeggs is random year of the
What are
week.
his
And I
odds?
think like 100,
That's
80,
we should
80,
bet that.
80, 100. He's 100 on DraftKings.
What are Cam Young's odds? I'm just wondering.
No, it's a fair question. We can talk Cam Young briefly because we talked about him last week, and you said you knew you were going to bet him, but I tried to talk you out of it. He's drifting. He's back up to like 50, 60 to 1. He's as unserious of an unserious golfer as exists in the game right now.
Fully agree.
Are you done with him? Or will you go back to him at 50, 60 this week? Because
No. I'm not betting him this week. I'm definitely not betting him this week. Maybe not. Maybe I might bet him this year, but I'm definitely taking a small break from Cam Young.
he's just so
unserious. The screenshot that I sent you guys, the most unserious thing of unserious things. Friday afternoon, he's fine. He plays fine round 1, gets off to a great start in round 2. I think he's 2 or 3 under through 5 or 6 holes. Is on that short par 4, drives it to like 30 feet. He has a 30 feet for eagle off the green, makes a bogey. Just classic Cam Young. I loved it.
Yeah, just a deeply unserious player. I'll be honest, I also have been thinking like I want to shit on golfers less, just because I mean like the Grayson thing. It's just like these guys go through a lot out there. Like they're trying their best, and I'm gonna try to tone down.
Trying to fucking play as good as they can.
But I actually feel bad for Cam Young because he looks like he's not having fun. Like he looks like he hates golf. And I could see a guy who's like grown up playing golf his whole life. His dad, I think, was a like professional or whatever. That's what got him into the game. He lived on the golf course. He just looks like a guy who golf is what he's best at, but he doesn't seem to enjoy it. Neiman was a guy who always looked like that for a long time. And I think Neiman's gone to LIV, and it's kind of given him some freedom. He seems like happier on the golf course. For Cam Young to become what we think he could be, he needs to lighten up on the golf course. I think he needs to just have more fun out there. That's that's the radio show take, but I genuinely think that's the case with him. He just doesn't look like he's having fun.
I agree. Every time I've seen him on the golf course, like practice rounds, real rounds, just always very stoic. Doesn't look like he's enjoying himself, walking with that little, just not looking like he's not talking to anyone. Very quiet guy.
As we get into the triple digits, the first guy that caught my eye looking in the stats is a guy by the name of Kurt Kitayama. He's had success at Bay Hill, Jersey. He's playing great tee to green. I think he was top 10-ish in the field at the PGA. He can't putt at all, but every now and then he just magically makes putts. He's the type of guy in the triple digits who at least has the baseline tee to green game that if the putter comes alive, he can genuinely win the tournament. So I kind of like Kurt as my triple digits long shot play. How do you feel about Kurt? And are there any other 100+ guys that you like?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Kurt look horrendous, and then he posted a great stat line at Valhalla. So, I mean, I think that's fair, because looking at Kurt's swing, you're like, this guy's not a professional golfer. This guy's a weekend hacker. I truthfully think I have a better looking swing than Kurt Kitayama. It just doesn't look good visually, but he's a great ball striker. You win at you win at Bay Hill, you can make noise at Murrayfield Village. So down 100 to 1, and he was 200 to 1 when he won at Bay Hill. Shout out Devo. Yeah, sure. He's posting a great stat line. I love Kurt.
I saw you tweeted about Ricky. You've had your eyes on Ricky for a while now. I consider you a bit of a Ricky whisperer. You've got eyes on him. He's 110 to 1 this week.
Yeah, he is 110 to 1. He is 110 to 1 this week. He had a good result with his driver at Colonial. Take that with a grain of salt. A lot of layups, a lot of not the best driving litmus test, but he's hitting his irons well. Recently, the past month, only thing he's been doing good was iron. So I want to see how he does on a big test. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't think we're gonna bet him, but this is when he started playing really good last year. He posted his best ball striking result since he won in the summer. So I want to see where Ricky's game is at, because these easy courses are coming soon. Ricky's always won on the easier birdie fest in his career. So summer's around the corner. That's when these birdie fests are coming. Let's see where Ricky's at. Something to monitor for sure.
Can the Eck goat get in the mix here?
His path they're asking him a lot. He's going to be shorter off the tee. He's going to have a lot of long irons. But I'm going to probably be out on that go. He's your guy, though.
Yeah, I'm worried about him around the greens. I think if he misses greens,
Yeah,
it's going to be a long week for him. But if he gets dialed with the iron play and then the driving, he's capable of getting the mix. We'll end Memorial with two guys at 250 to 1. Both are guys. Cam Davis, he's 250 to 1. Let me get a look at the stats. How he's played
not
here
good.
before.
Not good.
Yeah, I think it's not. I think we're out.
Yeah, since he won the Masters and we were on him, it's been really bad since that. Really
The
bad.
bigger issue with him is here at Memorial, he's been absolutely terrible, like really, really bad. So he's off. Nick Dunlap. Is there
I knew you were gonna
nuance?
say that.
Is there
Way too
nuance
much
here?
nuance. Way too much nuance here. That was my write-up for Nick Dunlap. It was, I think, 10 words. I'll read it. Probably a tad too much nuance for Nick Dunlap on a course like this. That is it. That is the pure handicap for Nick Dunlap.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm good too. But
Yeah.
it is nice he's going to Jack's place since he will be breaking Jack's record of majors.
True.
Just get a chance to get to know Jack. There'll probably be photo shoots when he breaks through and sets the record. He's gonna need to do it quick. Jack's getting kind of old, but Dunlap's still on track to break Jack's record at some point.
I have one more guy to ask you about. Is he good at golf? Taylor Pendrith.
No.
If he can, he used to be a great driver, like a long and straight, and he hasn't been that, but he's been so good with the irons. Like
he's been putting great, which is surprising.
Yeah, he's putting great.
He's an unserious golfer, in my opinion. He did win on the PGA Tour, so there's a level to unseriousness of the golfers. But I've got Pendy still in a. You're on him. I've still got him in the like upper echelon or the lower end now of the unserious golfers because he did win. But I still, when I think about Pendy on a weekly basis, I look at him and I go, unserious golfer. I can't get any action down on him. Hodges.
Yeah, dude, Hodges, PGA, Genesis, like. You're I don't know if he finished in the top 10, but like you're on the leaderboard on the weekend in those types of courses. And you're
T12 here last year. T12 here last year. Hodges.
Yeah,
all right.
like he's good at golf.
We'll end Memorial with Hodges because Hodges can mix for sure. He's got to get the ball and play off the tee. Like
300.
Where'd he go? I just saw him. Lee. He's disappeared. As we were talking, DraftKings heard us and pulled him off the board. Yeah, 200 to 1 on Lee Hodges. So there's some interesting guys. Interesting in not that they have any chance of playing well, but just like Jake Knapp's 200 to 1. Pavone's 250 to 1. Shamey P's 250 to 1. Goddard's 300 to 1. Griot 350 to 1 on Griot.
Griot is having the worst season of his career.
But he could just show up and play well. You never know with Griot. But yeah, so that's Memorial. We always do this now. We kind of wrap up. Obviously, everything will be.
Wait, what's Akshay's odds? What's Akshay's odds?
100.
Oh, it's a great number. Look at his chipping numbers from last week. Look at his chipping numbers. He hit it really well last week. You're gonna laugh when you see his chipping numbers last week.
Ever since he had like a minus almost 6 over 4 rounds around the greens. Ever since he gained a ton around the greens at the Masters, he's completely lost his around the greens. He's so volatile.
He hit the ball for the first time since his win last week.
He hit it okay, I would say.
What was it? Final result?
3 ball striking. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a course where Akshay's capable of really good ball striking. Like he can spike for 12, 15 ball striking. So if he did that, he's just volatile right now. But 100 to 1, sure. Why not? All right, summarize. Obviously, everything will be up on the site, but my current lean with the card is I don't have one. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this card, Jers. I could see myself going towards somebody at the top of the board, maybe a small card with one big name. As I said, the model, Xander, Scottie, Rory, and Ludvig kind of blow everybody else out of the water. So I think one of those 4 are going to be tough to beat. And I think when you look at these signature events and majors so far this year, it's kind of been the same guys at the top of the leaderboard every time. We haven't had too many randoms since Chris Kirk took the Century, and obviously Century is a very different type of course, different type of tournament than these. I think the top's going to be tough to beat. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I can see myself as we're talking through the board getting a Ludvig. Then Will Zalatoris is like more than likely on the card. Theegala can we get some drift on Theegala? That would be lovely. Maybe Max, and then out we got room. You know, we got room.
I like it. All right, 10 minutes on the LIV Houston.
Scandi mixed. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Let me get the quick look at the Scandi mixed odds. I haven't been betting the DP. I've retired from the DP World Tour. You won't be seeing that up on the site
I
because I've
haven't looked at
retired
the
from
odds
it.
either.
Seb Sodas is there. I mean, we do have to talk about it for 1 minute because it's Viking Cup. This is
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
home.
say huge week for the Viking Cup.
Huge week for the Viking Cup. You had one of the Viking Cup players, Norgard Moller, in the mix at the European Open. He's
Yeah, that
21
was
this week.
I don't know if he can actually win a golf tournament because he's really good in round one and really good. Once he gets by the lead, he turns into a different golfer. But he's a generational, like, you see this guy on the driving range, like, how does this guy ever? He's jacked. One of the most the most muscular golfers I've ever seen. Hits the ball a mile, great ball striker, but don't know if he could ever win. He's always at like insane odds usually.
I think I'm gonna Bjork's back over on the DPs 22-1.
Oh, he is?
I will be betting the DP actually this week. I'm going to put together a full card of Nordic golfers, both men and women, because this is, you can bet both. I've infamously 2 years ago at the Scandi Mix, I think 2 or 3 years ago, bet Henrik, and he won the tournament, but he lost to Lynn Grant, who won in the Scandi Mix. So you have to choose if you're going to bet which market, but I kind of like betting just the normal outright market because it is a fun tournament. They do set it up in a way that allows both the men and women to mix.
Yeah, and of course Dale Whitnell's getting no respect this week. He's 180-1.
That's right.
He needs to be in the 50s because he might.
What did you hit him at last year?
250-1
at the Scandi Mix. So yeah, get a look at Jersey's card for the Scandi Mix. All right, the LIV people, we're gonna have hatred in the comments in the DMs. People are going to be pissed. They're going to be canceling their subscriptions because it took us this long to get to LIV Houston. But now we're going to give it its fair due. We always give LIV its fair due. No one gives LIV a fair due than us, in my opinion. The nice thing is, Jers, they're playing a course where we have some data from.
Yeah.
They're playing the old Houston Open course, the Golf Club of Houston. I've talked about it before. My girlfriend is from Houston. I'm not a big fan of the city of Houston, Jers, but that's where they're headed. The guys are actually going to get some warm-ups before a major. Brooks famously only wins majors when he gets to play a tournament the week before. So I like that for Brooks. But this is a course where I was looking at the stats. You got to gain a lot putting here, Jers. You have to gain a ton putting. That's what I thought when I quickly looked at the stats for LIV this week.
Yeah, I agree. Like the two of all the winners, it's kind of been like gain across the board, but big emphasis on putting and a emphasis on approach too. For as long as it is, there's a lot of like penal bunkers and a lot more like hit the fairway.
There's water.
Yeah, you got to just attack with those irons. So any course where Paul Casey, Matt Jones, Ian Poulter wins that, it's like definitely it's approach and putting. So that's what we're going to be looking at this week, and we have a ton of data.
Yeah, I mean, when you got Poulter, Henley, and Harmon winning 3 years in a row,
Henley,
I get hardcore like Wyndham vibes, from those types of players, guys who spike with the irons, but most importantly, spike with the putting. I mean, when Henley won here, he gained almost 14 strokes putting.
What? He's incapable of doing that right now. He
cannot. That's when he was a good putter back in the day. Remember when he first came on the tour, and then he
won his first start.
Yeah, and then when he was in the mix that year at Wyndham when he famously choked, he was saying that he wrote on his putter or wrote somewhere in his phone that he's a good putter. Because when he first came out, he could make a lot of putts. He can't putt anymore. The stress of the PGA Tour is laying on Henley's putter, but he actually has been putting better recently. As you said, he might be live for like a top 10 at Memorial. The LIV people, they're going to be so upset that we keep tying it back to a PGA. I apologize. I'm sorry. LIV Houston, they're making putts. They got to make putts, and I think that's actually nice for betting LIV this week. I like the board for betting LIV because it's not a 3-round putting contest. That's anybody's game.
Yeah. I think it screams Taylor Gooch. I think he hasn't won yet. Putting and approach. It's like what he's good at. He's hungry. He can't do it on the major stage. He doesn't want to play in the majors. He wants to play. He wants to be the LIV guy. He wants to be the face of LIV. So I think if there's someone from the top of the board, or somewhat top of the board, it's going to be Taylor Gooch. I wish this wasn't as much putting because I really like Sergio here too. But at 35-40-1, I might still get there because he can heat up for a round. So
I'm probably going to give one more chance at 20-1 to Louis Oosthuizen. This is a course for Louis
so well.
Oosthuizen. He's making every single putt. He'll be in the fairways.
Yeah.
He's 20-1. I think I have to go back to Louis.
No, he is really putting well. So I definitely agree with you there.
And he declined playing in the PGA because he's so focused on his farm and on LIV Golf. And I like that commitment level that he's showing right now. So give me Louis Oosthuizen at 20-1. I assume he'll be on my card. I'm making no promises, but I have a hard time seeing why I won't be betting him. When I first ran the model last night for LIV, he was number 1. Had to make some adjustments because I can't have Louis Oosthuizen atop any model, but he makes sense for this course. And then, yeah, you just get into the putting guys.
I wanted to look at. I mean, Cam Smith's a really good number, but I think that number is just in relation to how unserious of a ball striker he is. Because even at Valhalla, like he made the cut, lost 4 strokes ball striking. That's just a testament of him. His game is not like he's not there. I've been hammering that drum for the last 2 months. I want to bet him. Putting is so important, but I just can't.
I mean, if we look quickly at the PGA stats, because it's nice that we've got some fresh data on the LIV guys. The best putter of the week was Gooch. He gained almost 4.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Almost 5 putting. So Gooch was the best putter. Then Bryson, DJ, and then we're into guys who didn't putt very well. Brooks gained a little bit. Ball striking wise, the best was obviously Bryson. Jocko hit it all right. Dean, you like Dean this week? I know Dean can't putt.
Yeah, I want Dean at a place where just driver every single hole, just hit it, bomb it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's Gooch for me. I think it's Gooch, and then figure out
some
other guys.
Because I mean, so you're retiring from Rom single bullets. He's finally 7-1. You don't even have to.
7-1.
It's a clean single bullet now.
I mean, birdie fest shit. Every week's birdie fest though. No, yeah, Rom has looked not great.
He can't putt. If Rom can't putt right now, so it's also a problem. So, Jocko, no. I mean, he could win, but 8-1 on Jocko is tough. The only guy who I could do a single bullet on would probably be Bryson, because if he's just bombing it long and straight at this course and flipping wedges in and making infinity putts,
yeah. Apparently, this is Patrick Reed's home course.
30-1 though, unfortunately, right now is the best number.
Yeah.
Now I will say the LIV odds tend to get better as the week goes on. I think only DraftKings has LIV odds out right now, so these odds will get better, I would assume. But Reed at 30 would be tough, considering he's never really mixed that hard on LIV. He's been up there a couple of times. Leishman's 30, he can make putts. Richard Bland off of the senior PGA win, he's 40, he can make putts. Want to know who can make putts? Cameron Tringali can make putts. I might be. I'll also be placing a team bet on. I had Smash for the first time in the team market at LIV Singapore. Came close, had the lead in the final round. I will be looking at the team market as well. The high flyers could be a long shot play when they got.
What are the Majestics odds? They're
not up yet, but they're going to have to be like infinity to 1. They were like 250 to.
Yeah, this is their week. Just off of the Laurie Cantor win, they missed him on the team, and then Poulter won.
Isn't Cantor's cliques though? I think he's.
I thought Cantor was a.
Or can he play for whoever he wants to play because he's a reserve player?
I think he might have been both. Actually, you might be right. I think he started on the one of them and then went to the other.
Yeah, he fits the national team vibe of both cliques and Majestic. So whichever one he wants to play for is cool with me. I'm trying to see anybody else here. Good. Keimer played good. He's 200-1. He played good at the PGA. He's warming up for his defense at Pinehurst. You said Matt Jones. He's 130-1.
Matt Jones, he won here. Also, Phil won here too.
One who makes putts in the state of Texas. Rack City. Jason Kokrak, 80-1. So
yeah, I think we go with one of either Louis or Gooch and just sprinkle them.
And one who else plays good in Houston. Carlos Ortiz.
Yes. Infamously beat Dustin Johnson and Hideki Matsuyama before the 2020 Masters.
Yeah. And Brooks, I think, was up there too.
How could you forget? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for LIV this week. I think it's a good board. I think it's probably a better betting board than the PGA, or from Memorial, just because, like I said, Scottie could be impossible to beat. And then there's Rory, Xander, who have been playing so well. So I think there's opportunities down the board on LIV this week. And I will probably, like you said, go with somebody near the top in the 16 to 20 range, and then sling some additional guys and place a bet in the team market. All that's going to be up on the site, vincerix.com. Jers, we'll have the next time we talk, will be from Pinehurst, North Carolina. We'll announce the content schedule probably pretty soon. Let people know what the schedule for that is going to be. We're obviously going to do the podcast, but we're also going to have a lot of great stuff on the site for the subscribers. At the end of the day, Jers, if we're doing boots on the ground, we've got to be able to fund a boots on the ground. So we're going to put some of the stuff behind the paywall, and it is what it is. But that's just how it's got to be. Can't wait for that.
Yeah,
excited
you're
to
not
see
going
you.
to get any. And you're not going to get any content like it. You guys enjoyed the PGA. It's only going to get better going forward. We've got some sick venues to go to. So let's keep winning. Let's keep delivering winners. Good stuff ahead.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Let's talk to you
Peace
from
out.
Pinehurst.